Going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Vikings are sitting at 9-2. What to do? Trying to get to 10-2 and really establish themselves and keep pace in the NFC, potentially getting the 1 seed. But standing in their way is the upstart New York Football Jets, led by quarterback Mike White. Woo. It's going to be a big-time game. Another great defense. The Vikings are squaring off against. Hopefully, Kevin O'Connell, that offense, can get things going. Here are 10 keys to a Vikings victory on Sunday against the New York Jets. That's right, the dumbest rivalry in sports history. First up, number 1, don't let White become Heisenberg. You gosh darn right. So Mike White, the pride of Western Kentucky, last week against the Bears, 22 of 28, 315, 149.3 quarterback rating, 3 tutties, and looked extremely good. And filling in for Zach Wilson, who got benched. I think Zach Wilson is done, but no. Now Mike White, he has started 4 career games. Before Sunday against the Crooked Chicago Bears, he did have a 5-8 touchdown interception ratio. So he is a gunslinger, but sometimes gunslingers get shot. It's one of those things. And the Vikings, they got to bring it. You know, the whole Donashell stuff. The Vikings have surrendered the most passing yards in the NFL at 3,037, which is not good, and also 31st in net yards per attempt at 7.2, meaning every time the opposing quarterback drops back and throws a football, they are averaging 7.2 yards per attempt. It's just ridiculous, man. Now, defensively, getting pressure does make sense. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, especially given the Jets' offensive line. But taking care of the weapons along the outside, again, something we'll also cover. But Caleb Evans being back in the lineup after suffering concussion against the Bills does make a lot of... makes you a little bit more optimistic and chipper about things. Can we just beat a backup quarterback one time? It will be kind of nice. Next up, key number 2 to our Vikings victory. Scheme Jefferson open. Now, this is going to be the big-time heavyweight matchup. Justin friggin' Jefferson against Sauce Gardner. Now, don't be scared of Sauce. You can't be scared of the sauce, but he is PFF's number 1 graded cornerback, both in overall grade as well as coverage grade, 47.6 QB rating when thrown at, and lining Jefferson straight up against him at the X, at the Z, it's perfectly fine, but why not take as many advantages as you can? So constantly having him in motion, having Sauce, who's probably going to be shadowing Jefferson, cover him from sideline to sideline, out in a bunch where maybe he can't get a clean press, or lining him up in the backfield. Why fight a fair fight? I think that Kevin O'Connell has a golden opportunity here to get really creative with Justin Jefferson's usage against an absolute alpha cornerback in this league. Next up, key number 3 for the Vikings to get a win on Sunday. The offensive line needs to bring it. So Christian Darrisaw is likely going to miss on Sunday after suffering his second concussion against the Cowboys. But Blake Brandel stepped in nicely at left tackle last week against the Patriots. And, the offensive line left to right with Brandel and Ezra and Bradbury and Ed Ingram, who the Jets are probably going to target because Rob Salah's not a dummy, as well as Brian O'Neill, who's playing fantastic. The Jets have a hellacious pass rush, spearheaded by defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, who looks like a man playing amongst boys. 38 pressures and 8 sacks, all-pro level for sure. Also on the edge, you got Jonathan Franklin Myers, who I think is super underrated. Carl Lawson, who's always done the damn thing. They're no slouches either. 60 pressures and 9 sacks between them. And plus, they get Sheldon Rankins back. Nailed it. Just another chapter in Dumbest Rivalry, Sheldon Richardson. But Rankins, of course, we remember him from the Saints days. He has done bad things against Garrett Bradbury. So, yeah, the entire offensive line needs to bring it. Next up, key number 4, G-Dub, Garrett friggin' Wilson, man. The pride of Ohio State, rookie standout, 49 catches, 628, and 4 touchdowns on 79 targets this season. Also went for 2 touchdowns against the Bears last week, along with 95 yards. So he is an emerging star. He is emerging stud. And Peterson, as well as Caleb Evans on the outside, it's going to be a big time day because Wilson is very good after the catch, as well as is Elijah Moore, who's finally getting the time of day and doesn't want to be traded. And all that. But, Mike White, he's not afraid to sling it. That's the whole thing about Zach Wilson. Maybe he does have the yips. He doesn't really throw with anticipation. Maybe he's just got a piss-poor attitude. I think that all could be true. But Mike White, the locker room likes Mike White, and he's not afraid to just go back there and let it fly. So the Vikings secondary definitely needs to bring it on Sunday. Next up, key number 5 for a Vikings victory. Kirk Sember to remember. That's right. Kirk Jerome, Ezekiel Cousins, 6 fourth quarter, come from behind, game-winning drives this year. He's playing some of the clutchest football of his career, and he has to do it again. I mean, the Vikings, ironically, over the last 4 weeks, have played the top 4 currently DVOA-ranked defenses in the league, and the Jets are currently number 4, so it's another tough game. And also remember, Kirk Cousins was almost quarterback of the Jets. He turned down a 3-year, $90 million deal to come here to the Vikings for $6 million less, but I do think that Kirk does have an opportunity to get hot and stay hot, and just another chapter of silencing the haters, because yes, you're at home, but again, it's one of the best defenses in the NFL with a great pass rush and fantastic corners on the outside. And if Kirk Cousins can do this, I mean, how can you just keep hating him? I don't really understand that. Next up, key number 6 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. Feed TJ Hawkinson. So it's going to be Jefferson against Sauce. It's going to be Thielen against DJ Reed, who's an absolute stud as a cornerback too. And Hawkinson may have some room to work down the middle of the Jets defense. And the chemistry between Cousins and TJ, overall, it's looked pretty good. I mean, yes, Hawkinson dropped a couple touchdowns against the Cowboys, but nothing was going right that day. And I do think that Hawkinson, I mean, he might have a chance to have like 10, 11, 12 targets over the middle, especially in key spots, third down, where they're either doubling Jefferson or they're giving extra attention to Thielen or KJ. So I do think that 87 has a chance to, potentially even score against this defense, as well as put up a ton of yardage in the middle of the field when the Jets are concerned about the outside. Next up, key number 7 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. Purple people eaters need to come back. We're bringing purple back. Yeah. Now, the best way to disrupt Mike White is to put him on his ass. Pressure him, have him make mistakes, which he's shown that he can do. Za'Darius still leads the NFL in pressures with 61, but no sacks since Buffalo, although he has created a lot of opportunities for some of his teammates. And for the Jets, tackles, you got the veteran Dwayne Brown at left tackle. He's banged up. Right tackle Max Mitchell has been a bit of a sieve. So that's where you can make hay against the Jets, is along the edges. And Daniil, Za'Darius, DJ, I mean, they all can bring it. Plus, I mean, Diesel Dalvin being back, just plugging up that middle. Also, he's been underrated as a pass rusher this year. I think that it could be a long day for Mr. White. We after that ass, Walter. Next up, key number 8 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. Shut down Gronklin. Yes, Gronklin revenge game. I love me some Tyler Gronklin, going all the way back to when he came in as a free agent. Not free agent. A 5th-round pick out of Central Michigan. He left as a free agent and signed with the Jets, got himself the bag, which I respect. But Gronklin, I mean, he had 3 catches for 50 yards against the Bears. Obviously Mike White is looking for him. He's got 3 touchdowns this year, and he is a nice outlet. Him and as well as CJ Azuma are really nice tight end targets for the Jets' various quarterbacks. So, I mean, Gronklin's going to be fired up. I mean, he's still got a lot of friends across the sidelines, and he wants to show up and show out in front of his former home fan base, but got to take him. Got to limit his production. Next up, key number 9 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. King Kenny busts another one. Now, I say this in jest to a degree, but I think that Matt Daniels has had a bit of an epiphany. Simplify things, let your best players play, and just get out of the way. And he talked about that's what happened on the 97-yard kick return against the Patriots. And I do think that, I mean, this is going to be a tough field position game. Rob Sala's got a fantastic defense. The Vikings hopefully can slow down Mike White and the Jets offense. But I do think that returns as well as punting may come into play in a big way, because remember, the Jets have one of the better returners in the league in Braxton Berrios, and I do think that King Kenny or Jalen Reagor as a punt returner has a chance to flip the field and get another big one, build on some momentum. Lastly, key number 10 for the Vikings get a win on Sunday. Oh, I guess we don't have it. Avoid the big play on defense. That's right. So the Vikings defense has been gashed for the most 25-plus yard plays in the National Football League this year. And for being a bend-don't-break defense, I mean, it sure does snap quite a bit. And I think that the Vikings, they've relied on turnovers, they've relied on sacks to be equalizers, and I think that they may have to do that again on Sunday. But, I mean, playing off coverage and letting Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore just downfield unabated, just not even disrupting the routes, that's not good. As well as how dangerous they are after the catch, they ain't good either. And also the Jets had long touchdowns of 54 and 42 last week against the Bears with Wilson and Moore respectively. So if you're going to sit back in that soft zone, hopefully that pass rush gets home. If they're open in the soft zone, make some tackles. But it's still frustrating. But I think in what could be an ugly, low-scoring game, I mean, one big play on either side could be the deciding factor. Speaking of which, final score prediction. Like I mentioned, ugly, low-scoring game. That Jets defense is no joke. I think the Vikings defense will get after Mike White. I think that he will potentially have a turnover, maybe 2, so the Vikings could continue to be positive in turnovers. So I think they get it done. I think Dalvin has a nice game. I think Justin Jefferson gets a better of sauce, as well as I think Hawkinson have himself a ball game. And Cousins, even against a fantastic defense, is able to stay composed, is able to play relatively mistake-free, and be a great distributor of the football. And I think the Vikings get to 10-2 with a 17-9 victory at home, and then on the road again, taking on the Detroit Lions, and finishing up the road slate of the NFC North schedule. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough game. Again, this is one of those games where before the season, when the schedules came out, I was like, it's the Jets. I mean, but the Jets are playing some damn good football right now. But so are the Vikings, and it's going to be a fantastic game on Sunday. But your thoughts are thoughts. 10 keys to a Vikings victory. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, and everyone's thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.